everyone, welcome back to Kindling Minds. I'm Cara, a qualified teacher, published author, and someone who proudly lives with dyslexia. Now, today we're going to take a deep dive into a really important topic, the myths and facts about dyslexia. Now, dyslexia is something that affects about 1 in 10 people in the UK, and yet so many misconceptions still exist. These myths can shape how teachers, parents, and even children themselves see dyslexia and see themselves. They can create barriers that shouldn't be there. So, in this video, we're going to unpack some of the most common myths, replace them with the facts, real life examples from my own experience and my work with learners, and explain why debunking these myths are so important, especially when it comes to something called learned helplessness. But we'll get into that. Grab a tea, get comfy, and this is going to be more of a chatty video, but I promise it'll be worth it. Myth 1. Dyslexia is just reading and spelling problems. In fact, dyslexia affects your processing, memory, sequencing, and organisation, and a lot more. For example, I mix up left and right, or I struggle to remember verbal instructions, even if I understood them 5 minutes ago. Please don't ever ask for directions from me, because I'll sit there, left and right. And because both make an L, even though one's backwards, I still can't tell. So just don't ask me. In school, this means children might misunderstand or be misunderstood as not paying attention when really their brain just needs more time to process. Recently, as in within the last 5 weeks, I've noticed that I can listen and pay attention and understand more if I'm doing something else. Now, I've always had that. I fidget. I like things to play with. I mean, in front of me, I've got 3 fidgets, but I'm trying not to use them. It allows my brain to process, and then I can act on what I've been told. Myth 2. Dyslexia means low intelligence, or being silly, stupid, dumb, all those horrible soul-destroying words. And the fact, dyslexia's got nothing to do with intelligence. Many dyslexic people are highly creative problem solvers. For example, Steve Jobs, he created Apple, and I'm using his creation to film this for you today. Richard Branson's dyslexic too, but they didn't succeed despite dyslexia. They succeeded with it. Myth 3. People with dyslexia just need to try harder. Well, the fact is, it's not about effort. Effort's not the problem. The brain processes information differently. For example, a child who spends hours on practicing their spellings but still struggles, they don't lack effort. They need different strategies like multisensory learning or text-to-speech tools. Repeating, try harder, you'll get it eventually. Oh, come on, it's not that hard. Only damages children, but adults as well, confidence. Myth 4. Children outgrow dyslexia. Now, that's just not true. Dyslexia is lifelong. Strategies change, supports change, but it doesn't just disappear. To this day, for example, I've been out of primary education for 10 years. I still proofread my emails multiple times. I use text-to-speech daily, but these strategies have helped make it more manageable. It's not about it disappearing. It's about learning how to live with it and live life differently. Myth 5, that dyslexia is rare, when in fact, around 10% of the population has dyslexia. Now, in a typical classroom, that's at least 2 to 3 children. Yet, so many go undiagnosed. So raising awareness matters. As a teacher with a class of 30 children, if you have 3 children who struggle with processing, they're going to take longer, but we don't have time for that. We don't have the resources to support that. And that's why Kindling Minds is so important. It's giving those children that time to learn at their pace. Raising awareness is the biggest problem we face. Myth 6, using technology is cheating. Now, it's a fact. Tech is a tool. I use technology every day, all day, because that's how I thrive. Glasses aren't cheating for eyesight. I wear them every day. So why would using spell check or dictation be cheating? It shouldn't be. Using text to speech allows students to show their ideas and they don't have to worry about their spelling. My brain, for example, goes 1,000 miles a minute, but I can barely keep up writing or typing. So sometimes text to speech is the only way I'm going to get information across. Otherwise, I'll forget. The impact of myths. It forms this learned helplessness approach. Now, here's why these myths are so damaging. They don't just misinform, they create this learned helplessness environment. Learned helplessness happens when a child keeps hearing, "You're lazy, you're not trying hard enough, you're just not academic." Over time, they stop believing in themselves. They stop trying, not because they don't want to learn, but because they've learned that no matter what they do, it won't be good enough, it won't be enough, and they won't be successful enough. And it's heartbreaking. I've seen it in learners who avoid homework, hide reading, or act out in class. Not because they don't care, but because it feels safer to not try than to try and fail again and again. It's why busting myths are so important. Every time we replace a myth with a fact, we give dyslexic learners hope, tools, and belief that they can succeed. If you told me back when I was in school that I'd be a primary school teacher helping other children with dyslexia, I would have laughed. I was bullied all the way through school because I just didn't quite get it, or I seemed weird because I was quiet, trying to process, or I was too talkative because I was just trying to understand. I'm lucky I had in high school one teacher who showed me that my effort is enough, and with the right support and tools, I can succeed. I did succeed. I got through my high school exams, and I'm not gonna lie, they were difficult. But I went on to uni twice because I'm mental. I did PE teaching and then I did primary teaching because at the end of the day, I can do it and I am enough. But if I hadn't had that one teacher who told me I was good enough, I wouldn't have believed it myself. And that's why it's so important to not create this learned helplessness environment. Now, some more examples. In high school, I hated reading out loud. I would avoid it because I knew I was going to make mistakes. But with the right supports, I don't make mistakes. But even if I do, I just laugh it off now because instead of shaming me or other children, we laugh it out. We make mistakes. We make mistakes part of our learning process. It's not as scary when you're not feeling judged. That's why Kindling Minds is built on compassion and understanding. I get it. Like, I really get it. I had a child who believed they were stupid because they struggled with retaining information and spelling. But when I introduced ways of remembering, visual aids, the use of text to speech, using a computer, she realised she wasn't stupid. Nobody is. Her brain just works differently. Even now, with Kindling Minds, workshops, and anything else I attend, I use strategies like text to speech, short notes, Grammarly, even ChatGPT. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I see it as using the right tools to do my best work. Things like AI can be dangerous if you don't know how to use it effectively. What I use it for is I will brain dump everything. I will get it out. It could be 50 sentences of pure and utter rambling. But then I can ask ChatGPT or Grammarly AI or even Google Gemini Copilot to help me reword and rework my own words into something more structured, understanding tone, making it warm and inviting. The way I talk that sometimes just gets lost because I spend so long worrying how I'm going to come across to other people. I use it every day. As long as you use it correctly, there shouldn't be a problem. My experiences, my examples, show that when myths are replaced with facts, learners thrive. That's why this Dyslexia Awareness Week Scotland matters so much. It's not about pity or excuses, it's about understanding. It's about reminding children, parents, and teachers that dyslexia is not a flaw. It's a different way of learning, thinking, and problem solving. When we change the conversation, when we flip that narrative, we create classrooms where children are not just surviving, they're thriving. They want to go to school, they want to talk about their learning just because you flip the narrative. So, to wrap it up, dyslexia is not laziness, it's not low intelligence, and it's definitely not something you grow out of. It's a lifelong difference that brings both challenges and strengths. And when we bust the myths, we make space for confidence, creativity, and resilience to shine through. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it, especially during Dyslexia Awareness Week. The more we talk about this, the more we can change the narrative, the more safe spaces we can create for others to feel like they can thrive and shine. I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments one myth about dyslexia that you've come across, and what's the fact? Let's have a conversation and discuss myths and actually what they mean for us. Bye.